Hey everybody, it's Coffee with Mick. Frank and I's discussion about whatever I want to talk about in the morning. Klingons and Starfleet officers are usually the best villains in Star Trek. I'm not sure if that's a hot take, but it's definitely my opinion. Let's rewind to their former attempts at main villains, the Romulans and the Ferengi. Romulans are fun. We all love Romulans. They're like sneaky, they're deceptive, but their entire culture is based around being sneaky and deceptive. Similarly, the Ferengi, they're seen as like greedy and opportunistic, but that's literally their religion. Its entire world, whose basic religion is based on acquiring as much wealth as possible so that when you go to heaven, you'll be able to buy your way in, and if you have nothing, then you go to hell. It's a simplistic, spiritualistic view, but it's what they have, you know? So, them being bad guys is kind of less like them being really evil and more them just like doing what comes natural for them culturally speaking. But with Klingons and Starfleet officers, when they're bad, they feel worse. Because Klingons, they have a strong sense of honor. They have a million rules for everything. So when you meet a Klingon that has no honor, is it like usually like one of the High Council members or Duras or Mox Boss from Lower Decks for anyone new, you can't help but hate them even more because the way they just subvert the word of honor is just like despicable. And you think how can you barely call yourself a goddamn Klingon? You know? Ugh. Yeah, or like Duras was probably one of the most despicable Klingon villains in the series because like the council, rather than admit that Duras's father was the one who like sold them out to the Romulans, they passed the buck to being on Moog, Worf's father, because Duras was so high powerful. And like even worse than that, during like the goddamn conspiracy of it all, in public, Duras would just call Worf like Patak or whatever, treat him like crap. Like, despite the fact that we know it's your dad that did the damn deed. Okay? Ugh. Yeah. Right about it. Yeah. Oof. Duras. And of course, when like he was found out, he then killed Kalar because the show demanded it. Admittedly, I feel that Kalar died too easily in that show. Like she's the mate of Worf. In order to be like mates are of equal standing in Klingon culture. It's like the female like throws things at the male while the male recites poetry. Yeah. So the mate of Worf dying to a punk ass nepo baby like Duras to this day, I headcanon that he was on some sort of Klingon steroid because it's Duras. It's Duras. Yeah. And now the Starfleet, Starfleet villains, yeah, they represent the worst forms of bureaucracy in any form. Like, sometimes they represent fascism, like that one episode where, like, I think, like, an admiral, like, goes on the war hunt to, like, this one, like, ensign who's, like, a quarter Romulan, but hasn't done anything wrong, and yet throwing him through the mud simply because he's related to someone who is only now an enemy. Or, like, Leighton from Deep Space Nine, who essentially like faked like a power surge just to like get Starfleet to like take full control of Earth. Yeah. Or for like flash forward to a new version like Les Buen Amigo, who like basically like set up the Cerritos to get attacked by the Breen just so he could test out like his like what was it called, the dang thing, His super ship, what was it? The Texas class ship. The Texas class, yeah. I will burn your heart in a fire. Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah. Evil Starfleet officers. Think back to season one. That one diplomat dude who, like basically his interpretation, he's sent to like negotiate peace with these two factions, like that he supposedly did like decades before. Of course, the only way he did that back then was through his own interpretation of the Prime Directive by arming both sides of the goddamn conflict. So essentially just exacerbating it. And then he take a youth drug that just made him die. Yeah. That was a weird one. Evil Starfleet officers and also the corrupt. Mm-hmm. And of course, in like Star Trek 6, when like one of the Starfleet officers was teaming up with like the anti-peace coalition simply because couldn't get over the war and everything, wanted the war to continue. That yeah. Because Klingons and Starfleet officers have these strict sets of morals and codes, when they break them, they feel way more villainous, way more despicable than, say, like the Ferengi and Romulans, who were designed from the beginning to be like full on just antagonists. Yeah. I feel like there was only one real Ferengi in like Next Generation who I felt was a full villain. Like that one guy who like wanted revenge on Picard for killing his son, to the point where like even his fellow Ferengi like found him despicable due to how this was done out of revenge, not for profit. Yeah. So yeah, that's like my Star Trek take of the day. Coffee with Mick. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope you have a morning.